It's Monday, time for another reading for the week. So I've went ahead and picked a couple of cards here from the Universal Folk Oracle, and the card was Meditation, and it's the 21 card. Routine, breath, quiet, and peace. And this is the message that came through for me. It's incredibly difficult, especially in these modern times, to hear or listen to what you can externally think of as God or the voice of, what's leading you or what your purpose is, right? Which is actually, when we really look at it, an internal voice, an internal monologue, right? Dialogue with our own God selves, our higher self, and the voice of the soul. It is, like I said, incredibly difficult to listen, to hear, to be with that voice when we are so externally focused. We really have to slow down. And this is something that I feel is almost an epidemic in this world, that we don't really truly know how to slow down. I was incredibly blessed to go to some hot springs and have some quiet time with the water and with nature. And when I go and commune with nature, it's not that I'm ever alone, because there's all of the energy, of all the sentient beings around. Like, being in that space is highly nourishing, because it's like I forgot that we all didn't have to talk out loud to really commune. And so the healing waters themselves, it's like such beautiful release work and purification. That's what water is, right? It's all about clearing and allowing that heart to find its purity, like the way that it bubbles up from your heart, like that fountain that's in that heart chakra, can really be felt in these healing spaces. And that's why they have silent meditation pools. And it isn't about the external focus that we're constantly chasing, the external approval or validation that we're trying to receive. What is really truly going to heal us, what is really truly going to bring us more balance, is the meditative state of closing down all those parts of us that are seeking for outside love in a way that isn't ever sustainable. It's like conditional love, right? When there's approval or validation as your main focus or intention or desire or need. And when we have slowed down and begin to give ourselves that type of validation and love and comfort, and even when we're uncomfortable, comforting ourselves, right? Like, that is invaluable and cannot be achieved until we have found a measure of safety within ourselves and learned how to regulate our nervous systems, regulate our breath, regulate and find balance within what is outside of us. And knowing that your attitude and your perspective are generally how you need to learn how to balance. It's like, if I was listening to Guru Jagat, and she said, if you do your work, whatever your work is, with resentment and bitterness, those are your seeds, and that's what you're going to reap. And if you do your work with a different perspective or attitude, like, yes, it may not be fun. Yeah, you may not enjoy certain aspects of it, but if you can do it with an attitude that is always continuously filling you up, like, that you're there to accomplish whatever it is that you need to accomplish in order to move on to the next thing. If your job is what allows you to have a home and peace. If your work is something that you disdain, then, it's very difficult to see out of that space. And that doesn't mean that the job necessarily has to change, but your perspective for sure needs to. And if your perspective is, I'm stuck here and there's no way I can ever be out, then of course that's what's going to be, again, what magnetizes to you and what the frequency that returns to you is. If you feel that you are doing your job and your mastery and it's, part of your flow, then that is what you are magnetizing to you. You're able and capable, right? So again, the inner state within ourselves, our inner peace, our ability to be with ourselves and be slow, that I think is a measure of how much balance you have within yourself. Because if you are not in balance, you are always trying to distract yourself because you don't want to be uncomfortable in your body. It's escaping, right? Like when I do the hot cold plunge, it's so beautiful because it's like a way that I can talk my body through regulating even when it's uncomfortable, whether it's the hot or the cold spring, especially with the cold spring. The cold spring, it's like, I'm not gonna die. Or maybe like in the hot, it's like, I'm not gonna die. I can slow down and I can breathe and I can recognize that my body is actually not in harm and that I can at any point leave if I needed to. Really, if I was really feeling ill or unwell, right? But what's actually happening is I'm allowing myself to be uncomfortable and to find comfort within that, which I think is translatable to how our external experiences create that. But also, again, when we are not well within us, sometimes we create angsty, anxiety-filled circumstances around us in order to learn how we are basically trading our peace for these emotional states. And the thing is like mastery is knowing and recognizing when you're creating chaos for yourself and when you're not the eye of the storm, and then being able to maybe not control the circumstance, but you can always, again, your perspective and your way of dealing and regulating within that. Again, the cold plunge is for everybody. And if I'm going, I could be affecting everyone around me, right? Like, this is where we find mastery within ourselves when we tell ourselves, like, is that response really serving you? Like, is it really going to bring you peace? Are you really going to be able to find comfort in this discomfort? And as challenging as it is, it definitely is something where you find your edge and you breathe through it, and then you realize that you could stay in that for much longer than you thought you could. So there's our meditation card explanation. And then I picked another card from the Infinite Wisdoms of the Chakra deck. I was like, what chakra is going to talk to us this week? So it's the solar plexus. Also the 21 card, funny enough. Phoenix, fire of transformation. And it told a story of the people of Phoenicia. Whenever they would get attacked, they knew that it was coming, and they would take all of their belongings that they cared about, and they would remove themselves to an island far away from where the people would attack them. And so they would return every time to the decimation or the ashes, and they would rebuild again. And so like the phoenix, they were choosing peace, and they were removing themselves from the people who were of war mindset, and they would return back and rebuild. And it wasn't about their resentment or their bitterness over being attacked, right? It was about them being incredibly actually intelligent and being able to remove themselves and then return back and be in their peace. And they that would be like your ultimate sacrifice, or like knowing of being able to go like, that's not where my peace lies anymore, and so I'm going to listen to that part of me, and I'm going to go to the place that peace is for me. And then when I return to the ashes, I rebuild again, because you know what, y'all can't tell me how to have peace. I tell me how to have peace, and I am the creator of that peace, right? It's just like informing everything around you by you staying steady in whatever your clear conscious decision is. And the solar plexus chakra is it's very closely tied to our determination and our power and our will, right, to be and create, like very fiery masculine energy, right? But it's like, know that you don't have to get caught up by small matters that are trying to hook you in, that are really not worth your time and energy, that there is something more potent and powerful, something, that needs your attention much more than those small little details. So it's about like almost like conserving your energy for what you really need it for, as opposed to like trying to strategize and take care of every little thing. You like delegate your energy to the specific areas that it's necessary and needed for, and that takes discernment, that takes your intelligence, that takes your focus to do those things. Again, if you're in meditative state listening, then you'll know when action is supposed to happen. Instead of being action focused externally, you think within me, when I know it's the time, I will have and know that it's time to create this next thing. Be willing to let go when you can and use your skills to find peaceful outcomes. Of course, like that would be such a beautiful way if that was how we operated. How do I create the most peaceful outcome right now? Commit to being part of your own transformation. Baby, you ain't gonna transform unless you commit to it. This is the beautiful thing about choice in this world, is that if you aren't committed, no one's gonna commit for you. No one's here to drag you, and other than your higher self. And sometimes if we don't even listen to that, we can't be dragged, right? That's why if you never give your permission, you will stay in whatever you're in forever. And that's a choice. And sometimes we've got to allow and learn that like other people are making their choices, and maybe they're not going to look like how our choices would be. But that's totally how it works in this world. Is that they get to, and that you get to. So, thanks everybody. Many blessings on this week. And look for all my fun offerings. Today I'm doing family yoga, and my parent support group starts today at 5 p.m. at Creative Healing Center. Yoga starts at 4:30 for your family yoga. Walk-in availability, please just come in and join us for those things. I'm excited to see and attract whatever community feels the most aligned to these kinds of activities and heart-centered offerings that I have. And there's more to come, guys. There's always more. Thank you guys so much.